Are you a podcaster? Maybe you've got that big idea and you're looking for a network to join. The multi-award-winning Ozcast Network can get your content to eyes and ears all over the world. Join now for the first month free, and you could be featuring this sound at the beginning of your podcast.
Ozcast.
Simply head to ozcastnetwork.com for details.
Did you know you can advertise on podcasts?
Don't act like you're not impressed.
Find out more at podvertise.com.au. That's podvertise with an s.com.au. Ozcast.
Fortunately for them, their DJ neighbour, Matt Burgess, couldn't sleep.
My night, Jarrod Walsh, lovely bloke. He's been around for ages.
He's lovely.
Mate, Jarrod, I love him. He's a great guy.
And world tennis number 3, Andy Martin's had to, Andy Murray even.
Welcome back to another episode of Best Team Men. I'm Matthew Burgess, joined by Andy Martin and Jarrod Walsh. How are you, boys?
Not bad. Is there a long version of Jarrod, or is it just Jarrod?
I don't know.
What people hear on the podcast, proudly presented by Con and Lena at Brighton Trophy Centre, Mind and Movement Physio, Odd Sock Mob, Shifty Lizard. What people don't know is the end product is incredible. The recording process is a real piece of shit when Matty's at home. And what you may have noticed in the last round is that we were having a laugh at Matty's setup. That's because at the moment he sounds like shit in our ears. It will come out great at the end, but he's got this weird setup and it sounds like he's in a tin can. And funnily enough, his camera was in landscape mode when Matty was like lying down at the bottom of the screen when we first started. So we're not operating with like real Ozcast style setup. This is real backyarder stuff, boys.
It is. The Ozcast setup will be back next week, though. I can guarantee you that.
Oh, that's good. Well, I mean, one thing that I really enjoy about you, Jarrod, is every time that we do Zoom, there's a different sock on your actual mic, like an actual sock.
And this one is the closest to a flesh-coloured sock, so near my mouth.
It looks like you're talking into a massive dog with a small tattoo on the end of it, like you're some sort of rager.
I don't know if this is actually working as like a mic popper anyway. I think it is. I think it's doing its job. I think
it is. You're sounding great.
We're going to say it is.
Yeah, well, we got to say it is. Now, there's a lot coming up very soon. We've got to find out why Andy Martin was on stage with Hugh Sheridan in front of over 1,000 people at the Adelaide Entertainment Centre. But the big thing I need to probably tease in this podcast, there's the usual stuff in there. We are going to reveal the easiest way to win an FM radio competition. We're going to do it.
Yes.
And there's a story behind this, Andy, which I'll get to a little bit later. I've had some stuff going on, which it's always, I think it's boring, but then you guys make light of it. Probably our most talked about podcast last round. I've had lots of people reflect or send me photos of Enema kits, which is great.
I still haven't gone and bought more yet, so I haven't got any news on that front.
I've actually had a lot of thoughts over the last week about definitely buying something.
Yeah, well, I think we should do it together.
Yeah, like I'm actually very interested. We should do it next time we're all in the studio here. Like there are plenty of toilets around the building, so or I can just lay down a tarp, I guess. Is that how you do it?
I just went to the butcher then and got cut for dinner a 550-gram Scotch fillet. So tomorrow I may need it.
All right, I'll do a goat curry and we'll see what happens.
It's been a couple of minutes and already we are at the point of talking about it. Matty, start us off with your back update, please, mate. It's been a pretty tragic journey over the past couple of weeks. You haven't been able to move. You celebrated because you could walk a metre a few days ago. So what's been happening?
Yeah, about that really. Not a whole lot to report. Each day is gradually getting better, about 10% better, and I'm walking a little bit more. And I'm not allowed to drive still until probably Saturday or Sunday. So going a little bit stir crazy in the house. Got my dog to hang out with me. That's about it really. So yeah.
Yeah, good update.
Thanks. There's really not a lot to apart from playing you in FIFA.
It's a bit harsh to call your wife that though. Kira's a very lovely young lady.
Well, the thing is, she's not a very lovely lady, Andy, because we
listen
found
to this
out during the week. So Matty and I decided to play some video games, and we were playing FIFA. Now, I gave Matty a bit of an insight. Do you remember a couple of years ago when you're like, yeah, I'm going to play some PlayStation or Xbox, and you play Grand Theft Auto, but then you're like, I'm going to get on FIFA, and I played against you, and I pretty much won like 10-0.
Yep, you clean me up every single time. It was hilariously frustrating.
Definitely. Well, Matty and I decided to get involved, and we started playing against one another this week, and it was fantastic. And the suggestions have been we should start live streaming. I actually put a poll on our Twitter at Best Team Men saying who should take care of the Twitter, and one of the selections was Andy should play, and that was the most voted thing on there, which was very funny. I might turn
into some sort of meme guy where I'm happy to do it. I love being the feature of stupid attention. Yeah. That's just me now. I guess that's my brand, right?
I think so. You've got a very respectable brand, but Matty and I started playing. Now, there was a few spanners thrown in the works. First of all, I had to download an update for FIFA on PlayStation, which took an hour. Disappointing. The next night, Matty, when everything was ready to go, just messaged me at about 10 to 9 going, hey, mate, back in a sec, I'm going to Bunnings at 10 to 9 at night time, or Kmart, went to both of those things. And I thought, why are you at Kmart or Bunnings at this time of night? And then night 3, I had some internet issues. So there's been some ups and downs, apart from one particular day when, while we are talking about Matthew's beautiful wife, Kira, she was really interested in learning about FM radio competitions, and I suggested, like, why are you going to Kmart at 10 to 9 of night time? Now, remember, I'm doing this through the PlayStation microphone, so it basically sounds like, hey, tell Kira, why is she doing that? Yeah. So can you please ask Kira why she's going at 10 to 9? Then you can hear Matty going, oh, yeah, Kira, a good goal, by the way. Why are you going at 10 to 9? and then you hear Kira in the background going, well, because I've got a job. I wasn't made redundant like some.
Oh, my God.
I've never met Kira, by the way.
And you know what? For the next, to now, basically, she's like, I feel so bad. Does Jarrod hate me? I feel like he hates me now. Oh my God, I feel so bad.
Well, I feel like, Jarrod, you're literally just pegging every one of Matty's family off the what?
Restart that one.
I'm just going to stop there. That sounds great. So this is Boost Team, man, isn't it? But yeah, I feel like you're just, I guess, knocking off one by one Matty's family members.
That didn't sound any better.
No, it didn't, did it?
No,
I said knocking off, not knobbing, by the way, just a heads up.
We had a great journey of FIFA. It was a lot of fun, and my wife Gabby walked in and she's like, all I can do is hear you guys giggling. And it was a lot of fun. So we're gonna do that a bit more often, and we're gonna get to this FM radio thing in a second. Andy, before that, we did tease something at the end of the last round, because there was a photo which went quite viral on our social media, and it was very funny of you with your arm around Hugh Sheridan, and it looks like you guys were having a jolly old time. Can you please talk us through this whole experience? It's pretty much a nightclub story / event story from you.
Yeah, well, me and Hugh have got a bit of a history. So for 2 years prior to this particular night, he would come into Nova and record some stuff for The Fringe and for Nova in general when he was in Adelaide with the California Crooners, because it's Hugh Sheridan and the California Crooners. So like these 3 other singers from the US, they're like, one of them is like a Grammy Award winner. The other one is some other dude that's a really good singer. And they do this thing every year at the Fringe.
He's got a husky voice as well, doesn't he, Andy? So he would always come into the radio station and you would think he's either blind or hungover or both, or he just has a husky voice. But he actually has a really husky voice.
I think he likes to go out.
Okay.
That's the vibe I got.
Do you know what's funny? Like, when you first... I don't know that many popular or famous Hughes. So when you said Hugh Sheridan, I thought you were talking about Hugh Rimmington.
What, the
reporter?
Guy?
Yeah.
That was my porn name at school, by the way, Hugh Rimmington.
I don't know why I thought of him, but it just made me, when you said Hugh Sheridan, it just made me think of Hugh Rimmington.
No, fair enough.
So everybody's picturing Andy and Hugh Rimmington on stage. Just continue.
Yeah, so he kind of knew me because I'd always have to email him the audio, and every time he'd come in to the station, we'd record together, all that sort of stuff. So when it came to this particular night, so we at Nova, we sponsored and 5AA sponsored a couple of tables at the Ronald McDonald Gala that happens every year. I'd never been to one before. Got a ticket, was like, yeah, I'll give it a crack. Free booze all night with a bit of food. Happy days. Went along to it. Had a great night. Got incredibly hammered. And was sitting there. And when the entertainment halfway through the night came out, it was Hugh Sheridan and the California Crooners.
It was Hugh Rimmington with the late breaking news. He's just doing a live cross about the election from Ronald McDonald House.
So they've come out, right? And they've actually jumped off the stage and started performing around the tables, because everyone there are either, media, or they're involved in a business that has donated a lot of money to the Ronald McDonald House, right? So there's CEOs and executives everywhere. So they want to make sure that they're getting around to all the tables and enticing the crowd to spend more money into the charity, right? So they've all gone around everywhere, and Hugh's come past me and given me a wink, right? Everyone else has seen it. On the other tables, and they're like, oh, Andy, and and I was like, sorry, guys.
Do it. Yeah. Remington.
So I took my top off and off we went. And that's where it sort of stopped, right? He performed on, it was awesome. And then at the end of that song, they go, hey guys, just a heads up, we're going to have a bit of an auction in a second to raise some more money for the Ronald McDonald House. And that person that wins the auction will be able to go up on stage and sing a song with us. And I was like, oh, that's cool, bro. That sounds like a great idea. No, well, I had no intention of doing this whatsoever, but the head of finance comes over to me and from Nova and goes, I'm going to bid and I'm going to try and get you up there. And I was like, what? Say what now? Nah, don't worry about it. No, I'm all good. I'm heaps happy where I'm at right now. I'm at that really good point of the evening where you've had enough drinks to just be happy. You haven't gone too far over where you feel sick or anything like that. It was, I was at a good point.
At this point, there's not a dart out of your nostrils, so
definitely
that you
not
haven't got to that point yet.
Yeah, I had retired from that sort of partying, so I just wanted to stay at the good spot, right? So they started the auction off, and Jody, the finance chick, started bidding. And I was like, no, don't. I'm cool. Don't do it. I'm in my head, I was like, oh, maybe she was joking. She's doing it to get herself up there or someone else, right? Anyway, so bids are happening everywhere. They're going up to $500, $550, $600, $700, $750, and then it gets to about $799 or something like $800. And they go, sold. And I'm like, because I'm hammered, I've looked around going, oh, what the hell is sold to? And they've pointed to Jody and she's like, yes. And looked at me going, yes. And I'm like, no. And then they're like, who's going up? Who's going to come up and sing a song? And Jody's like, he is. And I was just like, oh my God. And that's when my soul left my body because, when it's almost like I was about to jump off a cliff and bungee jump somewhere like, New Zealand or whatever, something extreme where you're like very much out of your comfort zone. We've hosted shit to thousands of people before. I've done, DJ gigs or random shit on the mic. I should be pretty comfortable with this, but I'm not a good singer.
Yeah, you thought you'd be having just a comfortable time with your mates, and then next minute you're up on stage rimming Tom.
Yeah. Yeah, Tom was a nice bloke. He didn't call me after that, though. But, good on Tom. And anyway,
it's basically me then throwing you up into alley-oop and you slam dunking that. So you're welcome.
Thank you very much. What a team this best team man is. Anyway, so I've then walked towards the stage, and it felt like hours of me walking towards this stage because through my head I was going, holy shit, what am I about to do? I'm not good with lyrics. I know no songs. I don't have any good. I partied too hard in my 20s, man. My short-term and long-term memory is pretty shit, right? So
yes,
I've gotten up on the stage. The guy that I forget his name, wasn't Hugh, it was one of the other guys, comes up to me. He's like, you ready to do this, man? And I was like, fuck yeah, and then realized that he had the microphone in front of me, and I was talking to the thousands of people that are in the entertainment center, and I've just yelled out fuck yeah to this family friendly venue, right, trying to raise money for the Ronald McDonald House. And then he's like, do you sing at all, man? Do you do karaoke? And I was like, no, not really. And he's like, oh. And he goes, do you like to drink? And I was like, hell yeah. And he gave me his red wine, right? His glass of red wine that he had for his for the performance that he was, sipping along to keep hydrated. And I've sculled the wine in front of everyone, right? Like, let's party. And I've sculled the wine.
Party. It was a party.
And then they're like, all right, we're going to sing, I forgot the song. It's the song by that chick that unfortunately passed away with dark hair, tattoos on one side.
Amy Winehouse.
Oh, yeah. Want to dance with somebody, Whitney Houston.
No. The one that they always play.
Rehab.
Yeah, no, it wasn't Rehab, was it? What's
Valerie.
The Valerie. Yeah, it was Valerie. Yeah. So
it'd be weird if you were singing Rehab after you just stole the red wine on stage.
Yeah. Irony. So they're like, do you know the lyrics to Valerie? And I was like, fuck no. And then again realised there was a microphone in front of my mouth, and I'd said fuck no again to the whole crowd. And they started the song, and I literally just I just got through the song, as in like they were guiding me the whole time, and I was just partying on stage. And then the song finished. They all had their arms around me. It was a great experience, and they're like, thanks, Andy. And I was like, no worries, man. And
what up, Melbourne?
Yeah, what's up, Melbourne? Hungry Jack's is the best. And then got off the stage. And I remember earlier in the evening, the chick that was in charge of the Ronald McDonald House, the CEO or whatever she was, she did a massive long speech about all the good feelings behind the night. I've walked up to her. She's super short, like Tom Rehn short, right? So I've walked up to her, grabbed her head with both my hands, and then laid the biggest kiss on her head, going, and then I've just continued to walk on, right? Because I came off stage like I just finished a gig, so I was like feeling like a hero, right? So I was just like, yeah, let's do this. And I'm just going, thank you for that. And I'm like lay this kiss on her head and kept walking, and then sat down, had a great night. But then I found out years later, once I met Yaz, she used to work, obviously, as we've found out in the previous episodes of Best Team Man and Boost Team Man, she used to work for the head office at Macca's. She was actually there on the night and saw me do the whole thing. So it's very Adelaide. And that's how that sort of all happened. And lots of photos were taken. People were losing their shit over it. It was great.
It's fate, isn't it, really?
Yeah, it's absolutely.
It's funny that you mentioned Tom Rehn. I saw a photo before of Jarrod standing next to Tom Rehn. And I didn't know how short he was, but it generally looked like Jarrod was walking his son to a high five concert. That's what it looked like.
And his son had just walked into a wall, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
his eye.
He had the weirdest eye, and it was so uncomfortable. And thankfully that aired on the Football South Australia networks during the week. And
is that the thing you pre-recorded the other week?
Yeah. And I thought I'd be really professional and just say something on the Facebook and just say, hey, it's great working with Tom. But my first comment was, can't stop looking at your bung eye. And then heaps of people liked it. And then I got a message from someone, I wish you wouldn't have pointed out his pink eye. Now I can't stop staring at it. It was very funny. Yeah.
What was he standing on?
He was standing on the cover of, I think, a microphone or a lighting box. And we organised to surprise him with that. And funnily enough, at the start of the event, he's like, oh, I don't have my box, haha. And I'm like, well, glad you mentioned it. Here it is.
Chuck him on the box.
Yeah, I've got to apologise. For some reason, I've got a cold. It's really weird. And I don't know why, because everyone's been in isolation. I coughed my way through the other podcast that I did, The Maker and the Drinker, and I reckon it's appropriate. Do we need to have a quick discussion about hankies?
Yeah, and why you have one?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like, don't get me wrong. I used to have one as a kid. My mum would always give me one when, I had the sniffles or whatever going to primary school.
Yeah.
But then I sort of like stopped using one and went to other facilities like tissues and such.
I reckon there's a little phase in your life where you don't have them, somewhere between the age of like 7 and 65.
100%.
Get stuff to you guys.
So you would have had one as a kid and you just went along with it, or did you go back to it after a while and go, no, man, these are good. I need to have these back in my life again?
Yeah, I've always had them, and I find that if you leave them in your pocket when you put your jeans in the washing machine, it's going to be there when you go back to it anyway, so it gets a wash. So it's basically you don't have to worry about tissues or the tissues going everywhere, and I use them, and yeah, they get pretty gross. But the good thing about my mum is that my mum still buys me hankies for every Christmas like I'm 8 years old, so I just make the most of them. I don't think they're too bad.
Yeah, like, I mean, you can use them for so many things, can't you?
Yeah, well, that's very true, and they're a little bit disgusting, and I don't recommend people use them. But apologies about the cold. I actually was a bit nervous because on Saturday I had to MC a wedding. I don't know if you boys have been to a Greek wedding before. It's full on.
No, I haven't.
I actually DJ'd a Greek and Italian wedding, and that was full on.
Yeah, so we went to the Greek Orthodox Church where I understood nothing that was being said. So I was sitting there with my wife. It was one of those things, Andy, and you would know that everyone started laughing at something and we didn't know what was going on, so we had to kind of join the laugh. They
were probably laughing at you.
Yeah, well, exactly. You do. Now, you've got a great fake laugh, Andy. Can you show us your fake laugh if you're joining in with everybody laughing?
Yeah, so anyway, I'm going to jump in here and just join the conversation for a bit too. Greek stuff.
So, and what we found out that everyone was laughing at
Hanky?
the best man of the group. No, not the Hanky. I did have one that day, you bastard. The best man, his name was Apostoli, and he didn't really understand the Greek that the priest was talking about. So the priest said to him, in Greek, are you looking for love tonight? You know, are you single, ready to meet some people? It's like, yeah, I am. But he's actually married with a kid, and his wife was at the wedding. So he didn't realise that he was saying to the priest and everyone that he was single and ready to look around. So everyone gave a laugh. And then it's like, it was an amazing thing to see the culture. And then what they did was they had it at Plant 4 at Bowden, which isn't a traditional place for a Greek wedding and a ceremony, because the bride and the groom wanted to have a non-traditional ceremony. Because I was like asking all these naive questions, and I said this when I was emceeing. I'm like, so does this mean we get to smash plates? Because I would love to do that. And they're like, yeah, nah, we're not. Oh, damn it. I said, well, how about this? How about as part of my routine, if you leave a plate for me, I'll smash it. They're like, yeah, that's cool. So I got to the wedding day and I got to the reception at Plant 4 and I'm like, so where's the plate? Because basically I was showing more excitement about the plates than anything else, which that was definitely coming across. And like, nah, we can't do the plate thing tonight. So I made the most of that, talking about it, and I just kept saying that I will smash a plate at some stage tonight. But my attention was soon taken away when the entertainment came out. So there was a singer, her name was Jyoti, and she was very good. So she performed during the main course. And then we got to after the speeches, and there was a guy who was playing the clarinet. His name was Theo. And what he did was walk around the crowd and just start playing Greek music, basically the clarinet to dance songs. He's basically the Greek Timmy Trumpet with a less cooler kind of sound, right?
That's awesome.
Maybe he's related. There's Timmy Trumpet and Theo Clarinet. So who knows? So what was interesting is when it got to the time for him to play, all I was told to do was just to say, now we got some entertainment for you. So I finished up the speeches and I thought that was my night kind of done, because I had a couple of beers, a few gins, and then a little bit later on what they do at these ceremonies is they start doing push-ups. Everyone in the wedding starts doing push-ups, and there's like shots of Johnny Walker on the ground, and then you put the shot glass in your mouth and you shoot it while you're doing a push-up. And that ruined me. So we get to this point where I'm like, okay, I'm waiting for Theo to come on, and he's looked at me and indicated, just come here for a sec. And I'm thinking, mate, the music's about to start. People are waiting to see you. You're the main star of this show, man. I've walked over to him and he said, mate, can you please give me a big introduction? I'm like, yeah, no worries, man, because he's got a big reputation around Adelaide. And I'm like, this is awesome. So, Theo, how do you want me to introduce you? Because when you think about it, some of these big name artists, you got to give them this huge rap and go, all the way from, Gola, here's Theo, stuff like that, right? You got to pump it up so the crowd gets all up and about. So I'm expecting Theo, with his huge reputation, a great following, he's going to liven up the place a little bit more, and I'm expecting him to give me this huge intro. So after he said, "Can you introduce him?" and I'm like, "Yeah, I'd love to, Theo. What would you like to be called?" He's like, "Can you just say, please just say to the crowd, ladies and gentlemen, here is Theo, the clarinet player." And I said, "Sorry?" He's like, yeah. Can you just say he's Theo, the clarinet player?" I'm like, "All right." So I'll grab the mic. So the mic has taken about 10 seconds to turn on, and I'm mid-sentence because the receiver hasn't kicked in. So all you hear is a bit of Theo, the clarinet player. And then he started. And then at the end, again, same thing, because I think I'd had a couple of Peronis in between his incredible performance. It was, "Gentlemen, can you please thank Theo, the clarinet player?" It was so weird. And that's his brand, but he's very good at what he does. He's got a great reputation. If you need Theo, the clarinet player, for the wedding, it was cool. I like going to those weddings where everything's a little bit different, where you learn about cultures, you can see some similarities. And I didn't do too bad. It was okay. I didn't have a testy pop or anything like that. I actually ran into a guy I went to school with 17 years ago or 19 years ago, and we started talking as adults. Do you find when you run into some of your schoolmates, it's a really weird time because some of them were assholes to you, but then they come and talk to you like nothing has ever happened at school?
Yeah, well, I haven't really kept in touch with anyone from school, and I was at Popey's son's first birthday the other week, and I roll in there, and I'm like, "Hey, are you Mick?" He's like, "Yeah." "I went to school with you, right?" He's like, "Yeah." And yeah, I did. Yeah. And then we had this weird conversation because we hadn't seen each other since 2001. And it is the most bizarre, because I only knew him as like, "How you going? Yeah, I'm a growing man." That sort of thing. And now he's like a bloke with a full-time job and a family and stuff. And it's the weirdest experience.
And you forget the time passes, don't you? So you're like, yeah, 2001. It feels like yesterday. Far out, man. How good was Kathy Freeman's run last year? How did you prepare for the Millennium Bug? I mean, how did you recover from that? And you're like, no, 19 years has passed, mate.
Gee, how are those towels? They came down quick, didn't they? But speaking of bad mic introductions, right? Do you remember years ago when we both did the tour down Under Village?
Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah. It was very hot, yes.
So the night that you couldn't make it was the opening night, I think, and so I took care of the the big stage introducing everything. So it was like 4 hours of MCing, every 15 minutes jumping on, talking about the riders that are there and all the stuff that's going on. And then the main event the main entertainment that night was the Potbelleez performing. And so I was excited because it was like, a proper actual artist I got to introduce that people would be excited for, not just, a local band that no one really knows that plays music that no one really knows, right? So it's like, yeah, man, I'm finally at Jarrod status. I can introduce actual fucking artists. Let's do this. And so all afternoon, I'm like heaps pumped. I was like, Enema is here. This is crazy. I'm saying words I have no idea about because they're from other languages. And like that, those SBS guys are right next to me. The ones that
Phil Liggett.
Yeah, Phil Liggett was there. And I was like, oh my God, the fucking Premier's there. That tourist guy that used to always float around to all these parties and they had some weird shit going on. One of the girls were there. Whatever his name.
Mouthguard.
Corey Mouthguard. Anyway, so it came up to the point. I was like, because the camper van that they had given me to sit in the afternoon during my breaks was also the dressing room for the Potbelleez, right? So I was super excited. I was sharing my camper van with the Potbelleez. I was trying to think of the right thing to say for the intro, like, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Potbelleez, or something like that, right? I was thinking, what's my best Jarrod or Paul Curran? I need to work this out, introduce them really well. So
don't hold back, guys.
Yeah. So we had this issue where you turn on the mic, and it takes like 5 to 10 seconds sometimes for the microphone to power up and turn on, connect to the huge system.
And you don't want to be heard doing this.
Yeah, or
just checking. You don't want that to come through the speakers.
check 1, 2, 3, like all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So I've turned the microphone back on.
Guys, it's not working.
Yeah, the stagehand or whatever you call them goes, okay, can you introduce the Potbelleez now? Because they're all set up. The lead singer was there. I was like, fuck yeah, let's do this. And I was like, so I turn on the microphone, wait my 5 seconds, and I'm like, ladies and gentlemen, please walk. And then it all turns off, and then the Potbelleez start because the sound guys in the tent, like 500 meters away or however long it was at the back of, behind the 2,000 people that were there, has just like pulled me down and because he was like, he's not talking, we need to start the band up straight away. So that's pretty much what happened. And it's like this massive like letdown of the whole event, and you go home going, I never got to actually introduce the Potbelleez, but anyway.
That's the story of my life. Matty, has anything similar like this happened to you? Because I do have a follow-up question, which is going to sound a little bit strange. So let's just throw to you first, because you've mixed with some big names.
Yeah, so one thing that comes out to my memory was I played before a guy called Marlo, who's one of the biggest trance DJs in the world. Like, he's played Marlo, not Marco.
Oh, sorry.
He's played main stage at Tomorrowland and main stage at EDC in Vegas and all those big ones. Anyway, at the old HQ, I was given the opportunity to play before him, which was great. So I warmed up for him, and then I don't know if you remember the old HQ, there's the sound and lighting desk was up to the very right side of stage. And as soon as I finished, I'm like, I'm going up there because that's going to be the best vantage point. Finished my set, ripped my USBs out, ran all the way up there, which is great. Awesome. Had an awesome spot. Then one of the Novatech sound guys gave me a microphone and was like, can you run this down to Marlo for me? I'm like, yeah, cool, done. Ran it down to Marlo, gave it to him. He said thanks, and then he played his show. In the green room after his set, I was like, I'm going to go say good day to him. He seems like a nice guy. I walk in and he comes up to me and he goes, thanks, mate. Thanks for the mic. I wasn't redlining too much, was I? He thought I was a sound tech.
Oh, man.
Thanks, bro.
Actually, you know that green room up the top there? The one at the back.
Oh, yeah.
With a couch in it.
Yeah.
The Fresh FM 10th birthday that I put on there. Yep. So that was like my first big event, right? So it would have been like, say, 30 DJs or whatever we had to organise, and all the sound and lighting, and there was a fashion parade and all that sort of shit. And because I was the organiser, right, I had to stay there all night.
Yeah.
So I had to get there, like at 4 p.m. the previous day to start set up and make sure everyone's all cool. And I like a bit of a cheeky drink here or two, even when I'm working. You know what I'm saying? So
party.
So I was getting Jackie J to get me his. What does he have? He has 2 tall glasses with CC and coconut. That's his drinks, right? So I was downing those as well, and because I had to stay all night, I had somewhere to sleep, because at 6 a.m. I had to count the money and make sure that all the proceeds from the door were all correct. I had to check all the numbers. I had to make sure everything was starting to pack down and stuff, and everyone had gotten out. So I was hammered. So I passed out at like 2 a.m. and then slept through the Hard House set upstairs in that room.
Oh, wow.
Like Ben Ford was playing hardcore from 4:30 till 5:30 or 6 o'clock or something. And it was like, and it was almost like sitting on a massage chair, because the vibrations of the room was just like, crazy.
Sounds like you're underwater.
Yeah.
It's amazing that Ben Ford found time to DJ in between putting up memes on his Facebook page.
Yeah, and also weddings.
So we're going to talk about this radio competitions thing in a second. 2 things very quickly. Port Pirates lost their elimination final on the weekend, so we're not going to go see the Port Pirates because they're not playing anymore. They lost. It was an upset in the elimination final to Adelaide Uni. Bad luck to the boys, but we know that we are going to be on board next season. We're not going to be looking for a new team to jump on board. We are definitely along and we side by side, so to speak, in your Collingwood talk there, Matty, with the Port Pirates. Their junior trials are on the 18th of November at 6 o'clock in Taparoo if you are keen. Before the radio stuff, and you need to give us a bit of a backstory on how we got to this, Matty, I need to ask you guys, do you believe at any stage of your life you have accidentally hit on a person of the same sex?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, no. Yeah, Thailand.
Okay, well, that's a technicality.
Yeah. Yeah, does that count?
No, it doesn't count. We had an air conditioner guy over earlier this week who was there to fix our air conditioners because we're going into the hot weather and we've got like 3 little crappy ones in our house. So my wife and I thought, no, we need to do this going into summer. So I got a guy to come round and a neighbour recommended him. He's a firefighter but also does air conditioning. So he came round. Nicest guy in the world.
Bring his hose?
And, well, no, he didn't, but he probably would have thought I was interested in that. I've got no issues with males loving one another. I think it's a beautiful thing. But I'm married to a woman, so he would have found this really uncomfortable when we were in the kitchen and I pretty much just said to him when we were just having a chat about life and he was cleaning the filters, and I said, hey, so do you play sport? And he's like, oh, no, not really, mate. Well, you must go to the gym, hey? And he's like, oh, yeah, I guess. Why? And I said, oh, because look at you, mate. You're built. Look at those muscles. And I actually touched his bicep. And it felt like I was really flirting with him. And then he was like, oh, yeah, I just do a bit of weights and stuff. And I'm like, oh, yeah, look at me, mate. Like, I'm old and bald and I can't grow any muscles. You are, mate. You're incredible. And I was saying it in the way that I'm saying it to you guys now. And I think I made it awkward because it was the fastest air conditioning service I have ever seen. He was like, yeah, I reckon I'm done, mate. Out of here. And I think I hit on him.
And the aircons still don't work, do they?
No, they don't work at all. But I tell you what, he's a great kisser. And no, he's he's a beautiful looking man and a nice guy as well. It was a little bit of a unique experience. I think I'm too honest though. That's what I find. Do you guys reckon I'm too honest with that stuff?
Yeah, you're not backwards in coming forward, are you?
Yeah, you're open. You're open for business.
What does that even mean?
You're open in your opinions, and it doesn't matter.
Well, they're not that controversial, though.
No, I mean you didn't him, did you? Just touched his bicep.
I think what would be great is the fact that you've beeped out that word and people are going, I wonder what he said. Wisdom with Walshy before we find out about this radio stuff because people will be very keen. Here's a wisdom.
That wasn't it?
No, this is the wisdom with Walshy. I learnt this morning, and the wisdom with Walshy is, boys, finish this sentence for me, okay? Treat people how
you want to be treated.
Would you agree, Andy?
Yeah, that's what I'd say too.
Incorrect.
I don't. It's just the way it's just the way it's said. I don't know if it's correct.
All right. Well, just no need to snap. I was just going to finish off the wisdom with Walshy. This is a real peaceful time here, mate. The correct way is saying, treat people how they want to be treated.
Okay.
Selfish.
What do you mean?
Yeah, like couldn't you just be accepting of? I'm just happy to be treated anyway. Like,
yeah, but if I would like to treat you the way that you want to be treated.
Yeah, but how do you know how I want to be treated?
Well, I'd like to ask you, how would you like to be treated? Don't say how I want to be treated, because then it's a full circle.
This sounds like you're doing the same thing you did to the air conditioning guy.
Yeah.
But
how do you want to be treated? Just put your hands on me.
Yeah.
Service
how
me.
do you want to be treated?
Matty, talk to us about how we got to this radio question. Andy and I have to be very careful how we answer it, but without being overly careful.
No, we don't.
No, we don't.
Well, putting the focus back onto my wife, she's been trying to win a certain radio competition over the last 48, 72 hours. And obviously with me being at home, not having a lot to do, she's asked me to help her, and we just couldn't get through. We didn't know how to do it.
A bit more detail on the comp without naming names if you don't want to, just so if you do win it, that nothing goes a bit crazy. What sort of competition is it? It's not one of those ones where you guess a word and then you win 50 grand.
Yeah, I'm not going to go over the top, but it was a certain word that needed to be said with a certain duo host going on as well. Yeah. Sounds like. I mean, bit late because they got given away this morning. I understand that, but and that's because I've been asking you guys for the last 3 days what the fucking formula is.
Well, keep it for the podcast, man.
Yeah.
No,
what was the word?
6.
It was sixes.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of hints. Apparently, there was like they were wearing the number 6 in their photo and stuff, I believe.
Okay, right. So here's a couple of headline points on this. When they go through, let's come up with a word, it's never going to be really directly related to the sentence. So there will be a list of words in which are approved, signed off on by one of the bosses that goes, yes, that is the word. The radio station fell into a bit of trouble last year when they did something very similar with one of these word things, and they got a bit of feedback because the word didn't relate to basically anything to do with the sentence. It was a bit of a controversial thing, but there's a lot of meanings that go into this. So the other two things are, when a radio station says, this is guaranteed to go off on Friday.
Dave Hughes.
It needs to go off on the Friday because A, they need to start another competition because ratings kind of need to wrap up at that time, so they need to get as many listeners there as possible, and they're guaranteeing it, or they're realising it doesn't have as much cut through as necessary. This is the big one, and I'll probably say this in 2 parts. The big one for me is if you listen to a radio station like the one that does that word thing, it's intentionally predictable, right? So if you listen to the way that the radio station is structured, say from a workday point of view, from 9 till 3, you will hear them talk at the top of the hour and then potentially 10 songs, then an ad break, then about 4 songs, then an ad break. That's your hour. You get 14 songs and 2 ad breaks. There will be the playback of the competition. It will be in the same spot every hour. The thing that says, call now to win cash, that will play in the same spot every hour of every day. It's intentionally predictable. I'm not sure if that works or not. And then the little caveat and the side note is, if you are calling from a phone that probably hasn't rung the radio station before, I would assume you have more chance of getting your call picked up.
Yeah, so if you've got a private number, go find a phone with a number that hasn't called the radio station before. That's a big one. Also, you've got to realise going deep into the business of a radio station, the particular type of person that they're aiming for, especially with their advertising. So say that station that you were just maybe mentioning but not mentioning at the same time is they're, depending on their age bracket, so say they're aiming for females 25 to 35, for instance, right? They would prefer a female from their, what do you call it? Their Adelaide area that has more listeners in that age bracket to win. So it depends on the competition, because sometimes there's a bit of wiggle room in regards to selecting certain people to win that competition. Like if it's a game of chance or whatever, that it is quite difficult for that to happen. But if it's a prizing where you have to, say, provide a story and details of where you are, and then the competition gets drawn at a later date, emotion, if you're in the age bracket of the people that they're looking for, if you're bright and chirpy, if you're a person,
if you're good radio talent.
if you're good, because they need to promote the shit out of that post giveaway, and if you're good talent, they are going to absolutely ream that because they need that for the client that's paid for the cash, or if it's not paid, they need to just bring up the station to make more people listen to their station to get more money in, right? So one random bit of information that we could use, but it might not make any sense or make any reasoning for me to say this. When they say they got 50 grand to give away, that's insured. It's usually not even that money's actually in their bank account, if you know what I mean. So it's an insurance company. It depends on the comp. So when they say, we've got $100,000 to win, they've paid 10 grand for that because of an insurance company in the UK has... what do you call it? Like
game of chance.
Back them. Your game of chance.
Game of skill or something.
Yeah. It's crazy. Like the whole back workings of that sort of stuff is insane. But to win radio comps, it depends on the comp, depends on the station. Usually it's emotion based if you're in their age bracket and everything that Jarrod said.
Everything is also in the terms and conditions. If you go to a radio station's website, and hardly anyone does, go have a look at the terms and conditions because that will show you everything that you need. Like when a competitor radio station, they announce a competition, the opposition will always have a look at the terms and conditions and go, okay, so this needs to be won by this date. This is the prize. This is the investment. This is all that stuff. It certainly is all there. So when you've got one of those predictable kind of competitions, which is every hour we are playing this, just know that it's going to be played at a similar time. And a lot of people, what they would do, and they're rightfully allowed to do that, sit down, count the songs until you hear the thing that goes, you have the chance to win. And that will be the same time every day. Count the songs. If it's 4 songs in, 5 songs in, then what they do, as soon as that airs, the person will wait for a little bit, wait for the calls to light up, take the call, record it, and then play it back later on.
And this is always the feedback that we gave. Now I've just opened it up. But like being so predictable is like to not be that. But if you do your research and R&D or whatever, so like Jarrod said, listen to whenever the call now thing is. Generally, if you have an ad break, it'll be a song, then there'll be the call now thing, then there'll be like 2 or 3 songs after that for the announcer to get ready to record you and cut you up, so to speak, and make sure that you're sounding great for when it airs just before the end of the hour. So there you go. Yeah,
and if they think that the competition is the thing that's going to drive the audience to the radio station, so if it's, I think listeners are smart now, man. It needs to be winnable. It needs to be achievable. My thing was always, you have a look at people in Adelaide and you go, people in Adelaide froth over Royal Show tickets. This is what they save up for every year. I would much rather give away Royal Show tickets every hour on the hour than giving someone the chance to win $50,000 because you got guaranteed winners and it's that instant win. So we always were going, no, let's focus on that smaller stuff. And then you think if you've got someone saying call now to win whatever it is at 20 minutes to 1, then the playback's at 1 o'clock. Why does anybody need to listen from 12 until 12:40? What's the purpose of listening apart from the music? If you know the only reason I'm listening is for this competition, you've only got that window of 20 minutes that you need to listen to.
Yeah. So one thing you got to remember as well is that the bigger the prize, the harder you're going to have to work at it, and the more controlled from a back end it is because it'll be an insurance company controlling the terms and conditions. So the instant win stuff is where you want to be at when you win shit. Like, you know.
So does that answer your question, Matt? There's a lot there.
Yeah, look, I'm probably not going to try and win any more competitions on radio, I don't think. It's funny, though.
There's a whole nother podcast in it, man. There's so much stuff that, there's so much stuff that goes into it that I think now you're more experienced of not being in radio than I am, Andy. Like, more recently, you take a step away and you're like, wow, this is... Okay, I'm trying to work out how this is appealing to people.
Yeah.
And yes, it is in a way, but also you need to start thinking more strategically about what the habits and what listeners are going to do.
We were always told that listeners are dumb back in the day but they're not. They're super fucking smart now because they sit there and they have time to go and do the research. There's so many applications on their phone now from your social media to start to work out this sort of stuff. People are creating groups and getting together and actually trying to win this stuff. Remember, like a few of the comps where that they would go $50,000 to be given away with this clue, and someone would get it in the first day and completely fuck it all up for everyone. Mate. Oh my God. The internal workings of a station. You've ever seen people run around so quick like ants? It's just crazy.
That's what I was going to ask. Like, if someone guessed it on the first day, was there scope there for the presenters to say, no, that's not it, and then have like a backup word to actually draw out the competition?
Nah. We were really authentic with it. Like, you could never and you would never want to rig it or make it dodgy or change any of the outcome. Andy and I once went to record one of these sounds, like a secret sound that we did, and it was the noise of pulling a chair down at Adelaide Oval. And a lot of people guessed, was it pulling a chair up at Adelaide Oval? And it was incorrect. The answer was pulling a chair down at Adelaide Oval. So they would always need to be authentic because everything's recorded there and you don't want stuff to be dodgy. A guy got sacked in Perth years and years ago because he rigged a competition for $10,000, I think. Like, that never enters your mind of rigging it at all. You have people contacting you going, oh, I know what the word is. Can you tell me when to call? Like, well, no, I won't do that. Like, it's because you don't want to be like responsible and liable for that. But the inner workings of it, it's almost like it's funny. If you sit together in a group and you're like, last year when we had the one with Eddie Betts, I asked the question of going, okay, so if Eddie Betts' mystery word, if the answer is crunchy, first of all, he doesn't eat crunch. The sentence was, match day for me is never complete without crunchy. So I recorded all of those words with Eddie. And the thing is, the word that they settled on, I didn't want to know what the word was because I was on the air, so I didn't want to. The word that they settled on was crunchy. First off, I said, gee, what happened then? I had a stroke then. First off, I said, okay, first of all, does Eddie eat a crunchy on match day? Oh, we're not sure. Okay, because you probably need to check that. Second one, I'm like, have we checked with the confectionery company and Eddie's management that he's able to say that and associate his name with that brand? And there was all this blow up later on about lots of stuff that we don't need to go into, but it was chaos, mate. And behind the scenes, we had a winner, but it was, it was just chaotic.
But they wouldn't be able to do that, like, to keep a brand completely separate. Like, it would be Eddie's match day isn't complete without a bottle of water or an orange or, do you know, a piece of bread or something. Do you know what I mean? Like, everything that you couldn't say Powerade, or everything would have had to been ticked off pretty much.
Everything should have been ticked off, but it also should have been checked. Because if you think Eddie Betts, the biggest name in South Australian football last year, think about the marketing opportunity if that radio competition comes along and Eddie's saying crunchy, then if Cabra goes, that's an awesome marketing opportunity for us to partner up with Nova after that and do all this other stuff. Yeah. Like, it's just a bigger picture, but we live in such a fast-paced world where we got this thing, we got to get it on the air tomorrow. Life or death.
Yeah.
Death. I'm running out of talking. I can't talk properly at the moment. I think I've spoken to it.
Yeah, it's all good. I've noticed that you're falling apart.
I'm really falling apart. Hey, I should hold on. I'm going to get my hanky out and blow my nose.
Wait. On that
double hanky.
On that note, I'm getting out of here, boys. I can't.
Where are you going?
No, I can't handle double hanky. Take us out, Con.
Is that Sunrise by Timmy Trumpet?
No, that was Sunrise by Theo, the clarinet player. Hey, this has been great, boys. We're back in the studio next week, and that's where we can bring back our regular segments. Yes. But this has still been awesome. And I found, I don't know, Matty, you may not agree to this, but I find it quite therapeutic to talk about radio stuff. I still feel a lot of guilt talking about it because I feel like I'm still employed, and I'd never bag the inner workings of the industry because it's an industry which I loved, but I don't want to do that. But I'm happy to share stuff, man. That's what we do here at Best Team, man. Isn't that right, Andrew, Kim Martin? Oh, wait, we got to play something before you go. Listen to this, Matty. You got to listen to this. So I listened to a podcast, and you know how there's a hashtag of great tweet Matt?
Yeah.
There's a hashtag great tweet Matt going around. I listened to a podcast called Old Man and the Three with JJ Redick, and they basically do this draft at the end of their podcast. They did it with Bradley Beal from the Washington Wizards. He was happy with himself because this is what he said.
Great draft, Bill.
Great draft, Beal. So they've copied the idea of great tweet Matt to go great draft, Beal. So we're going to contact them and abuse them.
Yeah, we need to get onto him. We've gone global.
Great draft, Bill.
Yeah, you're in a hurry to get out of here. That's why we're keeping you. It's funny.
I'm in no. Where am I going to go?
Where are you going, mate? You got to go to Kmart.
No, she's not home yet.
All right, we're going to get enemas during the week, guys. We'll go there and to Chemist Warehouse. Follow us on the show.
Follow us on the... Mate, you're done.
Follow us on the socials.
Follow us on the socials. Best team, man. Con, just take it away, please.
Brought to you by the Bright Trophy Center. Cups, trophy, badges, medals. Yeah, we do it better. Best team, man. DTC, BTM, BTS. Yeah. Best team, man. Oh, yeah. Sweet.
Ozcast.
Are you a podcaster? Maybe you've got that big idea and you're looking for a network to join. The multi-award-winning Ozcast network can get your content to eyes and ears all over the world. Join now for the first month free, and you could be featuring this sound at the beginning of your podcast.
Ozcast.
Simply head to ozcastnetwork.com for details.